There are moments in life when the soul is led into solitude, where the clamor of the world fades and one finds themselves alone with their thoughts, their struggles, and their Creator. This is no accident. It is the divine hand of God at work. Isolation is not abandonment, it is preparation. The great blessings of heaven are often preceded by a season of separation, for the Lord must refine a vessel before filling it with His abundance. If you find yourself alone, take heart, for it is in solitude that the greatest transformations occur. There comes a time in every believer's life when the familiar voices that once surrounded them grow silent. Friends who once walked beside you now seem distant. Family members who once encouraged you no longer understand the path you are on. Even the mentors you once leaned on for wisdom seem to step back. It is a perplexing and painful experience, but it is not without purpose. This is the hand of God at work, drawing you into a deeper dependence on Him alone. If you find yourself feeling abandoned, take comfort. It is not rejection, but divine redirection. When your usual support system is removed, you may wrestle with questions and doubts. Why have these relationships weakened? Why does it feel as though no one understands your struggle? Why has loneliness become your companion? But consider this. If human voices were always loud in your ear, would you ever incline your heart fully to hear the still, small voice of God? Often He must remove the earthly props we lean on, so that we might learn to lean wholly upon Him. The relationships that once comforted you were never meant to replace the presence of God. It is in these moments of isolation that the heart is tested. Will you become bitter, believing you have been forsaken? Or will you press into the presence of God, realizing that He is your true refuge? Many in Scripture experience this divine separation before stepping into greater blessings. Joseph was cut off from his family before he was lifted to power in Egypt. Moses was isolated in the wilderness before he was called to lead Israel. Even our Lord Himself withdrew to lonely places to commune with the Father. If He needed solitude, how much more do we? God does not remove people from your life to harm you, but to help you grow. Sometimes the relationships we rely on can hinder rather than help our spiritual progress. We become too dependent on human wisdom instead of seeking divine counsel. We lean on the strength of others instead of learning to stand in the power of God. But when the support system is stripped away, we are forced to strengthen our own faith. What was once a borrowed confidence must now become personal conviction. So do not despise this season of isolation. Embrace it as a holy appointment, a time where God is reshaping you for something greater. The relationships that are meant to stay will be restored in due time, and those that were never meant for your journey will fade away. But one thing is certain. When God removes your usual support system, it is because He is about to reveal Himself to you in a way you have never known before. And that, dear soul, is the greatest blessing of all. There comes a season when the doors that once swung open with ease now stand firmly shut. The opportunities you once counted on seem to vanish before your eyes, and the paths you expected to walk are suddenly barricaded. It feels like rejection, like the world is working against you, like your dreams are slipping through your fingers. But be not deceived. This is not a sign of failure, nor is it the enemy's triumph. It is the hand of God, guiding you away from what is not meant for you, preparing you for something far greater than you can yet see. Too often we measure success by our ability to walk through open doors, believing that every opportunity is a sign of favor. But what if some doors lead to places that would only distract you from your purpose? What if some opportunities would weaken rather than strengthen your faith? God, in His wisdom, does not allow His children to wander into places that would harm them, even if those places seem promising. So when doors close, it is not rejection, it is divine protection. Consider the lives of those who have gone before you. How many have faced seasons where every earthly door seemed locked? Joseph had a dream of greatness, yet instead of walking into immediate favor, he found himself in a pit, then in slavery, and later in a prison. Yet every closed door was positioning him for the open door that truly mattered, the throne of Egypt. Had he rushed through the wrong doors, he would have missed the one God had prepared. So too must we learn to trust the hand that closes doors, for it is the same hand that will open them in the right season. It is easy to grow discouraged when opportunities seem to vanish. The job you hoped for does not come through. The relationship you thought would flourish suddenly ends. The ministry you felt called to seems to be delayed. The business you labored over does not take off as expected. It is in these moments that the enemy whispers lies, tempting you to believe that you are forgotten, that you are unworthy, that you are wasting time. But remember, a closed door is not a sign of abandonment, it is a sign of alignment. God is aligning you with His perfect will. When doors shut, do not stand at them and weep as though your future is lost. Lift your eyes, for the God who closes doors is the same God who holds the key to your destiny. He is not merely shutting opportunities, He is shifting you toward the ones that truly matter. What you see as a loss, He sees as a redirection. What you mourn as an ending, He sees as a new beginning. So let go of what is no longer available, and trust that what God has prepared will be greater than anything you could have pursued on your own. In time you will look back and give thanks for the doors that did not open. You will rejoice over the opportunities that passed you by. You will see, with the clarity that only hindsight provides, that God's plan was always better, and when the right door swings wide, you will enter it not with doubt, but with faith, knowing that it was prepared for you long before you even knew to ask. So be patient in the waiting, steadfast in the testing, and confident in the God who never misguides His own. The doors meant for you will open, and when they do, you will walk through them with no sorrow, no regret, only the joy of divine appointment. There are seasons when the soul grows restless, when nothing in the present satisfies, and when the things that once brought joy now feel empty. It is not because you have lost your passion or because you have wandered from the path, but because God is preparing you for something greater. This restlessness is not a curse, but a calling. It is the divine stirring of your spirit, awakening you to the reality that you were made for more. When God is about to shift you into a new level of blessing, He first unsettles your spirit so that you will not become too comfortable where you are. Many mistake this restlessness for frustration or even failure. They wonder why they no longer find fulfillment in the places they once did, why the friendships they once cherished feel distant, and why their ambitions seem to be shifting. But this is not the enemy robbing you of peace. It is God enlarging your vision. He is breaking you free from complacency, pulling you out of the shallow waters so that you might step into the depths He has prepared for you. The restlessness you feel is a sign that your current season is coming to an end. Consider a bird whose nest has become too small. For a time it rests there, finding comfort and warmth. But as it grows, the nest that once sheltered it now confines it. It begins to feel uneasy, squeezed in a space that no longer fits. It is this discomfort that pushes it to stretch its wings and embrace the vast sky. So it is with you. God will not allow you to settle in a place that is too small for the destiny He has designed for you. That discomfort is not meant to break you, but to move you toward greater things. There are those who resist this spiritual restlessness, who try to silence it by filling their lives with distractions. They chase after temporary pleasures, immerse themselves in busyness, or cling to the familiar, hoping that the unease will fade. But no amount of earthly satisfaction can quiet the divine stirring within you. If you feel an unshakable longing for something more, it is because God is calling you higher. He is calling you to grow, to expand, to step into the fullness of His purpose for your life. At times this restlessness will feel like loneliness, like a longing for something you cannot name. You will feel out of place in circles where you once belonged. The conversations that once excited you will now feel empty. The plans you once pursued will seem insignificant in comparison to the hunger rising within you. Do not mistake this for depression or discontentment. This is a divine shift. The things that once satisfied you no longer do, because God is weaning you from the lesser things, so that you might hunger for the greater. Think of a child who once delighted in simple toys, but as he matures, those things lose their charm. He no longer finds joy in what once occupied him, because he is growing into something more. So it is with you. The spiritual restlessness you feel is not a sign that something is wrong, but that something new is coming. It is a holy discontentment that drives you out of comfort and into calling. The Spirit is stirring your heart so that you do not settle for anything less than what He has prepared for you. If you find yourself in this season, do not resist it. Do not try to numb the hunger with lesser things, nor seek to return to what no longer fits. Instead, press into God. Seek Him more earnestly. Spend time in prayer. Ask Him to reveal His purpose in this transition. For when you yield to this restlessness, when you surrender to the divine shift, you will soon find yourself stepping into a new season of blessing. You will look back and realize that what once felt like discomfort was actually preparation for something far greater. Restlessness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. It is the whisper of God calling you out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. It is the divine tension that stretches you beyond your limits, shaping you for a destiny you cannot yet see. Embrace it, lean into it, and trust that the one who stirred your heart will also guide your steps. A new season is on the horizon, and when the time is right, you will walk into it with clarity, purpose, and the overwhelming joy of knowing that you are exactly where God intended you to be. There comes a time in the life of every believer when faith is tested beyond measure. The comforts that once surrounded you seem to vanish, the paths that were once clear become uncertain, and the very foundations of your trust in God are shaken. This is not a sign of His abandonment, but of His refining work. When God is preparing to bless you in ways you cannot yet see, He first strengthens your faith, ensuring that you are ready to bear the weight of the blessing. Trials are not evidence of God's distance, but of His deep investment in your growth. Faith that is never tested is faith that remains weak. It is in the fire of trials that trust in God is purified, just as gold is refined through intense heat. A man who lifts no burdens remains weak in body, but the one who endures hardship grows stronger with each passing trial. So it is with your faith. God stretches you beyond what you thought you could endure, not to destroy you, but to fortify your confidence in Him. The hardships you face are not meaningless. They are the very tools shaping you for something greater. It is in the valley of uncertainty that you learn to cling to God alone. When everything you relied upon crumbles, when friends seem distant, when your own understanding fails you, there is only one place left to turn, into the arms of the Almighty. God allows trials not to harm you, but to teach you that He is your ultimate source. When every earthly support is removed, you discover that His presence is all you truly need. This is why those who have walked through deep trials emerge with a faith that is unshakable. You may find yourself wondering why the trials seem to increase just before a breakthrough. The reason is simple. God is preparing you for a greater responsibility. Before He places a great blessing in your hands, He ensures that your heart is ready to receive it. A man given a kingdom before he has learned wisdom will squander his inheritance. A woman entrusted with influence before she has learned patience will misuse her power. God, in His wisdom, allows trials to shape us before entrusting us with His greatest gift. Look at the lives of those whom God used mightily. Were they not tested beyond measure? Did not Joseph suffer betrayal and imprisonment before being exalted to the throne of Egypt? Was not David hunted by Saul, enduring years of hardship before he wore the crown? Did not Job lose everything before he received a double portion? God does not rush the process, for He knows that deep trials produce deep trust. If your faith is being tested more than ever, It is because he is strengthening you for what lies ahead. The enemy would have you believe that trials are a sign that God has forsaken you. He whispers lies into your mind, telling you that you are forgotten, that your prayers go unheard, that you have been left to fend for yourself. But these are the deceptions of the adversary, for the very opposite is true. When God tests your faith, it is because he is near, not far. He is actively working in your life, stripping away all that is false, so that what remains is unshakable trust in him. Trials also reveal what is truly in our hearts. It is easy to claim faith when all is well, but true faith is proven in adversity. When hardships come, do you draw closer to God, or do you complain and retreat? When doors close, do you trust his plan, or do you grow bitter? Testing seasons expose the depth of our faith, separating the superficial from the steadfast. This is not to condemn you, but to refine you, to strengthen what is weak, and to bring forth a trust that endures through all seasons. Even when you do not understand, you must trust that God knows what he is doing. His ways are higher than yours, his thoughts beyond your comprehension. The very trial you wish to escape may be the one preparing you for your greatest blessing. The suffering you endure today may be the foundation of the joy you will experience tomorrow. God wastes nothing. Every tear, every unanswered question, every moment of waiting is working together for a purpose greater than you can yet see. Hold fast, therefore, and do not waver. Do not let trials shake your confidence in the one who has never failed. This season of testing is temporary, but the faith it produces will last for eternity. When the trial has run its course, when you have endured with steadfastness, you will emerge refined, strengthened, and ready for the greater things God has prepared. You will look back and see that what once seemed like suffering was actually divine preparation. So stand firm. Do not be discouraged by the weight of your trials, for they are the evidence that God is working. Trust him in the fire, and you will come forth as gold. Your faith is being tested not to break you, but to bless you, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for the incredible future he has ordained. Keep your eyes on him, for your season of breakthrough is nearer than you think. There comes a moment in the life of a believer when the world loses its grip. The things that once entertained, the pleasures that once captivated, the distractions that once consumed, all begin to fade into insignificance. This is not a mere shift in preference, but a divine work of the Spirit. It is God stripping away the lesser things so that he might fill you with something greater. The fading interest in worldly distractions is not a loss, but a sign of refinement, a mark that you are being drawn into a deeper walk with the Lord. The soul that is being prepared for greater things finds no delight in the fleeting amusements of this world. What once seemed exciting now feels empty. What once brought joy now seems trivial. This is because the Spirit within you is leading you into higher places. Just as a child eventually outgrows toys, so too does the one whom God is calling out of the world outgrow its empty pleasures, the laughter of the ungodly, the enticements of sin, the shallow pursuits of fame and fortune. All these begin to appear, as they truly are, temporary and unfulfilling. It is not that entertainment, leisure, or success are inherently evil, but rather that they no longer satisfy the soul that has tasted something greater. When you have encountered the presence of the living God, the shallow waters of this world can no longer quench your thirst. What once seemed vibrant and full of life now pales in comparison to the richness of his presence. This is why many who are being drawn closer to God find themselves feeling detached from the very things they once pursued with great passion. The loss of interest in worldly distractions is often accompanied by a deepening hunger for the things of God. You find yourself yearning for prayer, for solitude with the Lord, for the nourishment of his word. You are no longer satisfied with surface-level faith, but you crave depth, truth, and divine revelation. The conversations of the world begin to sound hollow, the ambitions of the flesh seem pointless, and your heart is set on things above, rather than the fading glories of earth. Yet this transformation does not come without struggle. The world will not let go of you easily. Friends may not understand your change. Society may call you strange. And the enemy will whisper lies, tempting you to return to old habits. He will try to make you feel as though you are missing out, as though the joy you once had can only be found in the pleasures you have left behind. But you must stand firm, for what God is doing in you is of far greater worth than anything this world can offer. Even your own heart may wrestle with this change. You may find moments of longing for the ease and comfort of your former distractions. There may be times when you wonder if the path of holiness is too lonely, too difficult, too demanding. But remember this: the loss of interest in worldly things is not a punishment, but a sign of preparation. God is setting you apart, removing from you the things that hinder, and drawing you closer to Himself. Consider the lives of those whom God has used mightily. Were they not first separated from the world? Did they not first experience a stripping away of worldly desires before stepping into the fullness of their calling? Moses had to leave the luxury of Pharaoh's palace. Elijah had to be hidden by the brook. Paul had to forsake all that he once counted gain. So it is with you. Before God does something great through you, He must first do something great within you. This process is not about becoming better than others, but about becoming more like Christ. It is not about outward appearances or legalistic restrictions, but about a heart that is fully surrendered to the Lord. When God begins to purify you, it is because He is making room for something greater. He is removing the lesser to make way for the eternal, taking away what is temporary to fill you with what is everlasting. At times this refining process may feel like isolation. You may find that your interests no longer align with those around you, that the conversations of the world no longer appeal to you, that the places you once visited now feel foreign. But do not despair. This is the cost of being set apart. To walk with God is to walk a narrow path, and that path often leads away from the crowds, away from the noise, away from the distractions that keep many bound. Yet in this solitude you will find something infinitely greater than what you have left behind. You will find a joy that is not dependent on circumstances, a peace that surpasses all understanding, a satisfaction that no earthly pleasure can provide. You will find that what once entertained you was nothing but shadows compared to the brilliance of His presence. The loss of interest in worldly distractions is not a loss at all, but a gain beyond measure. So do not fear when you feel the world slipping from your grasp. Do not mourn the things you once cherished, but now see as empty. Rejoice, for this is evidence that God is working in you. He is calling you higher, drawing you deeper, preparing you for something greater. Embrace the refining fire, for on the other side of it lies a blessing that no worldly distraction could ever offer. Stand firm, then, and do not look back. The road ahead may seem unfamiliar, but it is leading you to glory. The things of this world will pass away, but what God is doing in you is eternal. Fix your eyes on Him, and let go of what no longer serves your spirit. For what He has in store for you is far greater than anything you leave behind. There comes a time in every believer's journey when the world grows silent, and in that silence the voice of God becomes unmistakably clear. The clamor of daily life, the opinions of others, and the distractions that once seemed so important fade into the background, and a new kind of sight is given, one that peers beyond the natural into the unseen. This is the sacred moment when revelation begins to stir, and vision is born. It is in solitude, not in the midst of the multitude, that God reveals what is to come. Consider the times when great men and women of faith were called aside. Before they stepped into their divine assignments, they were first taken into obscurity. It was not in the palaces, nor in the courts of men, but in the wilderness, in the caves, in the lonely places where the heavens opened to them. They were stripped of earthly comforts, so that their spiritual sight might be sharpened, and so it is with you. When God isolates you, He does not do so to harm you, but to awaken something within you that could not have been stirred in the noise of the world. In the silence, he begins to reveal what you were blind to before. He brings clarity where confusion once reigned. You may have walked through seasons where everything felt like a fog, where decisions were difficult, and the road ahead was uncertain. But now, as the distractions fall away, he begins to whisper. His voice, once drowned out by the constant demands of life, becomes clearer. The more you dwell in his presence, the more you begin to see, not with earthly eyes, but with spiritual vision. It is in these moments of divine isolation that dreams begin to take shape. Perhaps for years you have carried a longing in your heart, a sense that there is more to your life than what you have known. Yet, amid the noise, you could not discern its details. Now, in the quiet, God begins to unfold it before you. You see glimpses of what he has prepared, and for the first time you begin to understand why the previous doors had to close, why certain people had to leave, and why you were pulled away from places that once felt like home. Revelation comes when the heart is undistracted. It is not always in the rush of activity, but in the stillness that divine insight is given. Have you not noticed how the prophets of old received their visions in solitude? Moses beheld the burning bush when he was alone in the wilderness. Elijah heard the still small voice when he was hidden away in the cave. John received the book of Revelation when he was exiled on the island of Patmos. Isolation was not their punishment, it was their preparation. So it is with you. In this sacred stillness God removes the veil from your eyes. The things that once seemed so important now appear trivial. What once captured your attention no longer holds weight. You begin to perceive the difference between what is temporary and what is eternal. You start to recognize distractions for what they are, and the ambitions of the flesh lose their hold. The vision God gives you is not one that serves your temporary comfort, but one that aligns with his eternal purpose. Yet, this awakening is not without its challenges. When new revelation stirs, it often disrupts the familiar. You may find yourself wrestling with the weight of what you have seen, wondering why others do not perceive it as you do. The reality is that not everyone is meant to understand your vision, for it was given to you in the secret place. What God reveals to you in solitude may not be understood by those who have never been separated in the same way. The challenge of new vision is that it often makes you feel like an outsider. You may try to share what you have seen, only to be met with skepticism or indifference. But do not be discouraged, for many before you have walked this path. Joseph was given a dream, but his own brothers resented him for it. Noah received divine instruction, but the world mocked him. Those whom God calls to see what others cannot must be prepared to walk a road that others will not. The stirring of vision is not simply about seeing the future. It is about aligning your heart with God's heart. True revelation does not inflate a person's pride, but humbles them. The closer you draw to God, the more you realize the weight of what he is calling you to. It is no light thing to be entrusted with a vision from the Lord. It requires responsibility, obedience, and an unwavering trust in his timing. And this is where many falter. Some receive glimpses of their calling and rush ahead before the time is right. They grasp at the vision but lack the patience to let God bring it to fulfillment. Yet, just as fruit must ripen before it can be eaten, so must your vision be matured before it is fully realized. This time of isolation is not only about seeing the vision, it is about being prepared for it. God does not reveal great things to those who are unwilling to be molded. He will not entrust a powerful vision to a heart that is not yielded to him. So if you feel the stirring of revelation, know that this is only the beginning. He is not only showing you what is to come, he is shaping you into the person who can carry it out. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you wonder if you have misunderstood, if you are imagining things, if you have lost your way. But remember, when God speaks, he does not speak in confusion. His word brings light, and he does not start a work in you that he does not intend to complete. Hold fast to the vision he has given you, and trust that he will bring it to pass in its appointed time. New revelation is both a gift and a responsibility. It is not merely for your own benefit, but for the glory of God. What he has shown you in secret is meant to be lived out in the open at the right time, but for now, embrace the silence. Treasure the whispers of his Spirit, and allow him to continue the work he has begun in you. For soon the time will come when what has been revealed in solitude will be made manifest for the world to see. And in that day you will understand why the isolation was necessary, why the waiting was required, and why the vision had to be birthed in the quiet place before it could be declared before men.